Welcome back. We are rolling on to Act 36 of PGSM and my continuing video series for Pretty Guardian Sailor Moon live action. So in Act 36, we ultimately find out that the illness that Venus Minako has been battling throughout the series is fatal. I kind of figured it was something like that, but it's still a little jarring to have it ultimately confirmed. And then you see Rei come to the hospital to see her, and they have a chat, and Minako basically tells Rei, I don't trust you. I still don't trust you enough to do what you need to do to lead the Senshi, and take care of the princess, etc., etc. Then you see Mamoru and Usagi kind of go on their first date, and they kind of have their first official fight as a couple, I guess, because she doesn't know what to call him, and she's like, hey, 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 and he's like, what are you doing? Just call me by my name. So it was kind of like their first official fight, and it's all over the watch because she sees the watch, and she was like, hey, come here, look at this, and anyway, he buys the watch. The moon phase watch makes an appearance in this episode, so it was really cute. And then later in this episode, we see, a battle ensue, and Queen Beryl pops up with the four generals, and she's like, hey, Endymion, I want you, and you're coming with me, and if you don't, I'm going to make your generals kill themselves in front of you. So it was definitely a different twist, and I liked it for that reason, because it was like, okay, you're not mind controlling him, you're not putting him under a spell, you're like, yes, you're blackmailing him to come, but it's like, I kind of like that he went on his own free will. So it was kind of an interesting twist on that aspect. And then because of Queen Beryl forcing Endymion's hand, so to speak, Princess Sailor Moon arrives. She makes her appearance through Usagi, Sailor Moon, Princess Sailor Moon as we call it in PGSM. And I have to say, Queen Beryl looked shaken on that. And because Princess Sailor Moon is pretty much of a badass. I mean, she is fierce and unshakable. I got this. I don't need anybody's help. And I have to say, I really liked that kind of just completely strong, just, oh, I got this. It was pretty cool. I really enjoyed that aspect of Princess Sailor Moon in PGSM. And even though Endymion did go with Queen Beryl to save the generals, I still kind of thought, I kind of think Princess Sailor Moon could have taken Beryl on right then and there. I think she could have won that one, but it wouldn't have let the story progress to where we go. So, but it was still a cool thought because I really liked Princess Sailor Moon, honestly. What's interesting in Act 37 is it really dawned on me because I really have to give props to the actress that played Usagi, Sailor Moon, Princess, etc. Because it's really interesting because her whole demeanor changes. You can really tell when the princess is in the house because her voice changes, her facial features even change. She's more serious, she's more mature, she's very focused. So it was really cool to watch that in itself. And while Princess Sailor Moon is taking over Usagi's body, the girls have to pretend to be Usagi with Usagi's mom, and her mom didn't have her contacts in, so she didn't even notice that it wasn't Usagi. And Shingo's so chill in PGSM. He's like, I don't even want to know what y'all are doing. But I think that this episode kind of shows that they're really working with Usagi. They're becoming closer. They're becoming more of a unit because they are doing this stuff for her. To keep the secret, so to speak. And again, I'm going to point out that I really do like the dynamic of the generals, especially with Mamoru or Endymion. I liked that he wasn't under the mind control because it gave him the opportunity to, really catch up with his four generals and really delve into his past and his past memories of his past life. So I really did love that aspect of PGSM as well. And speaking of the four generals, we do see that Nephrite is still alive on Earth at this point in Act 37. Mio is so annoying. I swear, Kuroki, however, whatever. That girl, she's sitting there taunting Mamo while he's captive. Ooh, I just wanted to slap her through all the episodes she was in. I was like, ooh, I hate you. And, everyone seems to be very freaked out that Princess Sailor Moon has made her appearance because there's a lot of talk about how the crystal destroyed the earth and it's a bad thing. And honestly, that was really a shock to my system because I've only ever seen, okay, yes, it's powerful. The silver crystal is powerful, but it's supposed to be a healing thing as well. And they were just always like, it's devastation, it's catastrophic. But, you know, it's funny with the appearance of Princess Sailor Moon and her seriousness and just how powerful she is, I could really see her truly destroying the entire world because of her love for Indy. So it was an interesting contrast. And then in Act 38, you know, they do kind of mention that Metalia's powers are the same as the silver crystal, which is really another shock to me, but I guess I could see that. But it was just such a different way of taking the story, I think. And then it got weird because then it was like Mamoru's believing what Queen Beryl's telling him in the Dark Kingdom. And I was like, wait, are you being brainwashed? Is this a trick? Like, you know, it just seemed like everyone was against Mamo and Usagi being together. And then back on Earth, you see that Motoki took in Nephrite as his new, like, errand boy or whatever we're calling him. And that was just crazy because it's like, oh my God, Nephrite's just crazy and angry and doesn't want to be there, but he's going to be his errand boy anyway. So that was funny. So in 38, you start to think, okay, so is Mamo believing that the princess really did destroy the earth, and is he against her now? And you think, oh, it's got to be a twist. This can't be real. And then you start seeing, you know, Mamo and Usagi are both simultaneously kind of remembering their flashbacks, and in those flashbacks they find their resolve, and you know. You think, okay, they're making their own destiny, they're choosing not to believe this, but then he shows up with his sword drawn at Sailor Moon. And in Act 39, again, you see him basically ready to fight Sailor Moon to, I guess, at that point you think to prevent, you know, her from destroying the earth again. But he tells her, don't put your faith in me, believe in yourself. There will be a time in the future when we can be together. And at that point, I was kind of like, in 39, I was kind of like, okay, so is this kind of like a bros over hoes thing? Like, he's like, I got to go save my boys now, but you got to handle stuff on this end. So that's kind of where I was with 39. I was like, okay, this is crazy. It was crazy. And 40 was a little different because this was mainly about Mina and Ray. They have like a little battle because Mina doesn't want to do singing anymore, and Ray decides, hey, I'm going to become a singer and bring out your competitive side. And she does exactly that. She has cute little outfits and a cute little bob, and she looked really good, but you could tell she just was so not into it. And again, it's just such a trip because Ray from the anime would have loved such a thing. And it's just so funny to see her be so against, you know, singing and having fun and putting her talents out there and, you know, being a little attention hog. So it's just such a 180. And, you know, I think it was really good that Ray kind of had it out with Mina in this episode because she was like, look, you don't treat the princess with the way that you should. And she really just let her have it. She's like, you're getting too caught up in the past and you just need to stop. You need to live in the now, you know? And I think it was good for them to have that because you kind of see that snarky back and forth between them almost. And I think 40 was really to bring the girls more together as a team or a unit, you know? And also in this episode, you do see Mamoru go see Nephrite on Earth, and he tells him to leave your honor as a general behind. So it's kind of like an ouch moment for him, like a realization moment for Nephrite. And speaking of Nephrite, in Act 41, we do see that Mako and Nephrite kind of get into a little fight. And I kind of expected that. Like, I was expecting that at some point, so it's kind of funny that it did happen. And I just kind of figured, like, Mako would end up saving Motoki at some point from his new hire, Nephrite, because he's so angry, you know? And the girl, I think it was Usagi that told Motoki, oh, hey, there's a new form of turtle. And he goes out there and finds Mako dressed as a turtle at this daycare. And, you know, it was just too funny. It was so funny. And Motoki helped a kid out of a tree. And he's like, hashtag Mr. Good Guy. It was just like really cute. All the whole interaction between Motoki and Mako, it was kind of like fan service, I thought, in a way, just because it was like there's a lot of people that really root for their relationship. The other thing in 41 is that you find out that Naro knows about Usa being Sailor Moon, and Motoki knows about Mako is Sailor Jupiter. And then in this episode, Mako and Motoki decide to just be friends. And I kind of wondered if that was because maybe Motoki was a little freaked out by the fact that Mako was Sailor Jupiter. Who knows? And then in 42, I know it seems to be a bad thing when Princess Sailor Moon makes her appearance, but I have to say I really enjoyed when she was there because it was just such a different contrast. And I mean, she is just so on point, so powerful, so just, I got this. I don't need anybody's help. And I just love it. Girls got skills. And then in this episode, you see that Queen Beryl has Jadeite put a black shard into Endymion's body so that it will remove all traces of the princess from Endymion's heart. And it's just like, oh my God, this woman, she's crazy. Another kind of contrast that I noticed in PGSM in this Act 42 is I noticed that, in the original, you really see that the girls are Usa's point of, I have to do this for the girls because we're all friends and family and we love each other. But I saw Naro kind of taking that place since the girls aren't as close in PGSM as they are per se in like OSM. So I did find that to be an interesting contrast as well. In this episode, it was just getting really hard to deal with Jadeite because I just kept pulling for him. Remember your master, remember your real, past. But he's such a little twerp in PGSM, and he just continually disappointed me. I kept wanting Zoisite to just kick Jadeite's butt because I was just like, oh, he needs to wake up. He's got like the middle child syndrome, I swear. And in this episode, they're finally kind of showing that the crystal can heal as well as destroy. And you also see Usagi tell Princess Sailor Moon, we have to control this power or the world will cease to exist. And I think one of the more interesting sides of 42 is because you also get the point of view from Princess Sailor Moon as to why she's so cold and why she only loves Endymion. Because and the fact that the planet means nothing to her, Endymion was the only one that she cared about because Endymion was the only one that ever saw her for more than just a princess. He saw her for who she really was. And I wasn't really expecting to get any kind of story on that, so I was really glad to get some insight into why she was the way she was, since it is such a contrast from OSM. So we're on to 43, and Usa's pretty down about everything. She thinks she's pretty much lost Mamo, and there's this one part where her mom's like, oh, you should invite your boyfriend over. And, it's really funny because I was kind of hoping they were going to put this scene into PGSM because I remember that very vividly from OSM when they had done that where, oh, you should invite your boyfriend over. And I just remember, I was just really interested to see if they'd put it into PGSM, and they did. And it was such an emotional moment because she thinks she's lost him, and her mom's like, you should invite him over. And it's just like, oh my God, feels okay. I can't deal with it. Oh, and I swear to God, then again, Mio is dangling, Usagi in a taunting voice in front of Mamo. And it's just, I swear, Mio is worse than Usagi's whining, for real. Side note, you see that Rei tells Mina that she is not going to fight with a mere mortal because Mina has yet to fully awaken her full powers. So it was a very ballsy moment for Rei, more of Rei's coming out of her shell, I think, on 42. So it was that good dynamic again, I think. But I think the main attraction for this episode is, Mamo comes back because he has one day to say goodbye to Usagi. That's the deal he made with the Dark Kingdom, as the shard is taking every trace of her out of his heart, supposedly. I swear it was I was screaming at her, just kiss her. And then it was beautiful when he did, but then it was it was this catch-22 because it was he was giving up. That was what translated to me. And the emotion was real at that moment. And, but seriously, that kiss was everything, and my heart he was just my heart will always be with you. And then he kissed her, and it was just oh my God, and they were playing on the beach, and then he disappeared. It was just it was a powerful emotion. And if I said this was 42, I meant it was 43. This was 43. Act 43. Now we're moving on to Act 44. by 44, Act 44, you start to really see that, Indy really did go to the Dark Kingdom truly to save his guard. And it's really cool to see them all together because you get that backstory, you get that real dynamic between them. You get to see the guard that we know and love, I think, or that we've come to know. You also see that Queen Beryl realizes that she can never have Mamo's heart, but she still wants his life because she's dumb. There was a pretty funny moment in this episode when Ami made cookies and they were burnt, and Motoki was nice about it, even though they were horrible. And Nephrite was just like, these are really gross, but yet he kept eating them. I was like, okay. On this episode also, Mina shows up at Crown, and I think that was basically her way of pulling rank and being like, I'm the leader. So it was kind of a standoff between her and Ray. The four generals have always kind of, been very like whatever the master wants. And I think PGSM, you kind of see them exercising more of their own free will. But in the end, I know Zoe, who really didn't like the princess, now he is cool with the princess. And well, he's not cool with her, but he does die for her. And to ultimately carry out for his master or his master's wishes. So it was kind of nice to see that. It was just a total contrast because it was like, oh my God, you hate her and now you're going to die in her place. But he was doing it for his master. So it was kind of a beautiful ending to Zoe's side. And then he turns back into a stone and the stone cracks. And it was all very symbolic. It was a little emotional. And the reason that Zoe finally, I think, made that connection is because in 44, you see the deep good guy side with Endymion. You see that he really does love Usagi and he considers his life unimportant in comparison to hers. And that's kind of what wakes up Zoe's side, like, I should be doing what my master wants, whether I agree with it or not. This is what I'm here for, kind of thing. And of course, you see Kunze stabs himself at the end of 44. And then 45 gets a little crazy because you really see the girls kind of avoiding Usagi, which is it's so weird considering how close they were in OSM. And then Venus cannot transform in this episode. So that was a little shocking. But there was this one part when Motoki dropped his little turtle keychain charm right as Mako is sacrificing herself. So I'm going to drop this at 45 and we will pick back up at 46 on the next episode. So come on back. Thanks for being here. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, like and subscribe. Until next time.